Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another post-game show on the Steel Curtain Network. The Steelers win 27-22. They hold on to beat the Baltimore Ravens in Week 14 to claim sole ownership of the AFC North for now. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. Dave, what's up?
Not too much, Jeff. It was it looked like we might not have a coronary game for a while, but it's the Ravens. If you're going to be in it, it's going to come down to the wire. Which is better than the alternative of it not coming down to the wire because the Steelers are getting smashed. But they went into Baltimore, got the dub. Now let's see how that plays out for the final four games.
Yeah. Skeptic number one, Bryan Davis. What's up? How's it going?
I tell you what, I was so broken this week. I didn't even put a jersey on. I'm wearing, if you're on audio, I am wearing this blue and green plaid shirt and button down, and that's guess I have to wear that again next week. But I was so despondent this week, and I love to be proved wrong. And I knew, and we even talked about it last week. We all said, yeah, this is the kind of team that will turn around and win in Baltimore just to screw with us. I thought it was a good game plan. I thought they had a good week of practice, and I'm loving what happened today. I'd also be pissed if I had purple running through my veins.
Yes, we will talk about the officiating for sure. Before we go into knee-jerk reactions, I want to touch on the injury update as well as what remains for the Steelers in terms of their schedule, in case you don't know off the top of your head. Let's start with the injuries. This was like a body bag game for the Steelers. Felt like every play someone was going down. Darnell Washington, Malik Harrison, and Andres Pete all have diagnosed concussions or are in the concussion protocol. Brandon Eccles, he was evaluated for a concussion but was able to return. And then Patrick Queen, it looks like he re-aggravated that glute/hip injury, which bothered him a little bit last week, but he was able to return. I think Malik Harrison, he looked unconscious on the field at one point, tackling Derrick Henry. Darnell Washington, you could see when he went down, he might have been out of it for a while. It was one of those games, typical Steelers Ravens, very physical. But so there you have those, or the concussions, and they'll have to work their way through the protocol, and we'll see what that looks like for the Steelers. Any thoughts on the injuries before I move on, guys?
You know what? I hate to, in this day and age with CTE and everything, one big winner is definitely the neurologist of Pittsburgh. I joked off line on that, but I will say this. You don't want to root for it being just a concussion, but just a concussion doesn't end your season. So I hate to feel that way, but I'm glad that these guys will have an opportunity to heal and come back possibly next week.
Yeah, hopefully they're back in practice. We have seen some concussions that have knocked players out for multiple weeks. It was the defensive back for the Indianapolis Colts who collided with the teammate actually in pregame. He was put on IR. He said at one point he was dizzy every single day and he was thinking about quitting football. And then finally it started to subside and he's able to be back on the field. Crazy stuff. Not all concussions are created equal. That's for sure. Dave?
Yeah, because what I would say is, to me, the one that I think is going to linger the longest is going to be Malik Harrison.
Yep.
I do believe he was unconscious on the field. I'll be honest with you, I was praying during that commercial break. I'm like, let him be up and moving, because anytime you see that, that's just kind of scary.
Yep.
He seemed like he was up and going, and he was ruled out extremely fast.
Yeah.
Washington was just questionable, and then he progressed to out. And when it was Andres Pete, you didn't even know it was a concussion. You thought maybe you'd done something with a knee or an ankle or something. But the one with Harrison, I'll be honest, I would be completely shocked if he's able to play next week.
Well, and a lot of that for me, it's one of those situations where you feed off of what the teammates are doing, and when they're signaling, you got to get on the field. That's typically a bad situation. But let's talk about what the Steelers have coming up with their schedule. They have Monday Night Football at home against the Miami Dolphins. That's when they're going to honor the Hall of Honor inductees. So Ben Roethlisberger will be in attendance. They'll have all that fun stuff. Then they go to Detroit. Then they go to Cleveland, and then they host the Baltimore Ravens in Week 18. For those that are talking about the division lead, here's what Baltimore has left. They go to Cincinnati next week. Then they host the New England Patriots. They go to Green Bay and then finish the season up in Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
So
they might not win another game before they're back in Pittsburgh.
All I'm saying is like neither team has an easy road ahead. We'll put it that way. But let's do our knee-jerk reactions, Dave. What was your knee-jerk reaction from this game?
Knee-jerk reaction is if you were coming into this game, I typed it on the comments of Brian's Q&A last night. I'm not, trust me, I don't want the Steelers to lose, but I want them to win because they play well, not because Baltimore sucks more. And was how I was coming into it. I felt offensively, the passing game, the downfield shots, what they were doing there, that was something to get excited about. They didn't run the ball well. They didn't stop the run. They had pretty decent pass defense. So did they put it all together from last week to this week? No, but they did get steps in the right direction. And you hate to say you have to be improving in December, but bottom line is you need to be a team on the rise. This can't be the best that you get from the Pittsburgh Steelers, or winning the AFC North doesn't matter. You need to take this and keep taking it and building upon it.
Brian, knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah, this doesn't clean the slate. It absolutely does not. There's still problems. There's still something stinky in the state of Denmark. But what I'm going to say right now is I'm looking at this whole thing, and I will not excuse the not being able to stop the run. I'll excuse not being able to run the ball as much, because when you not only lose Darnell Washington,
yeah, that hurt,
and you lose Andres Pete, who I thought was playing a decent game. When you lose those guys, that really hurts you. So, but my knee-jerk reaction is that there is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel now, because we had that huge, as fans, we suffered through that huge, I call it the Hard Knocks losing streak last year, because every game on Hard Knocks, it seems that they were talking about them losing. But you look at it and you feel that because of Baltimore's schedule, and the Steelers' schedule is considered, they said, the second best, the second easiest. I don't know whether it was in the conference or what it was.
I think in the conference, yeah.
The conference. And I don't think
Bengals are the other one that's easier, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the Bengals. And sure, the Dolphins have won 4 straight, but this is now doable now.
We'll see. There were signs of hope. I'm glad you guys brought up the injuries to Darnell Washington, Andres Pete. You're talking about potentially 2 tackles, because Darnell Washington is used as an extra tackle. Definitely threw off the game plan for sure. But let's dive into some super chats, as we always do to start the show. Permanent Pictures gives us $1.99.
It just sunk in what you just said.
There you go. We got it. All right. Permanent Pictures is third down. Got to have it. The throw to MVS. This team is dumb. I will say this. I am not, Tim Benz of Breakfast with Benz, which is on the Fans First Sports Network. He's part of TribLive.com. He is always just going off about throws short of the sticks on third downs. And I get it. I'm not normally that guy.
But the Steelers don't do it any more than anybody else in the NFL.
Regardless, that play call, that throw was absolutely idiotic. If you're going to throw the football and it's going to be short of the sticks, it should be a high percentage throw that is going to be completed. Think about a swing pass to Kenneth Gainwell. And if he's tackled short, you at least force the Ravens to burn a last time out, and they didn't do it. I thought that was a huge miscalculation by the Steelers. The only target to Marquez Valdez-Scantling the entire game. Any comments on that, Dave?
Yeah, it wasn't a very good throw. It was low. But I'm at least glad they threw. And they're like, you know what? We're going to try to get a first down. I understood running on first down. Even on second down, I wish they wouldn't have been. I wish they would have maybe at least made it look like they could possibly throw on second down, which they did not. That's the biggest thing that I have with the second down run. I didn't mind running it there, but at least try to disguise something and not make it so obvious that you're running. But it was tough to run without Darnell Washington. I've said it a bunch of times. it's really tough if the team is defending the line to gain for the first down in the passing game. You've either got to throw it in front of them or you got to throw it over top of them. And it was probably dictated. I don't know what defense they were in. I wouldn't be able to break it down myself anyway. I'm not a breakdown the secondary, know what routes to go. I'm better at run blocking stuff. But to me, it was probably like based on their defense, we're going to look to complete this pass. Maybe he can break it for a first down. But that probably was dictated by what the Ravens did. I know what you mean. I would have probably liked something a little bit better there. My wife was so mad that she was watching the game next to me and she's like, why are they just running? Why don't they try to go score? I'm like, well, they're definitely not trying to score. All they need is a first down. Two first downs and it's over. I said, but they're so deep in their zone, they just want to not turn it over and punt it. So it definitely, it was probably one of those things that you wish that you got a certain look that you could attack. And when you didn't get that look, you were supposed to just take what you could get. And then it was a bad throw.
Brian, thoughts on that play?
You know what? I'm going to go back to first down as well. I mean, I didn't like much from that drive from the beginning. I really thought that I wanted to see more swing passes and using that instead of running the football, because it would have been a lot easier to convert and not be in that position. But thank goodness they got out of there with the punt. It almost looked, I was afraid that punt was going to get blocked, but I did not like the play. I get what they think they're trying to do, because it's not as predictable as what I just said I thought they would do. And that's something that the Steelers do a lot of. And that leaves a lot to be desired. But when we're talking about the whole scope of the game, and if we're going to talk about play calling and coaching, I thought it was good.
All right, let's go to Justin Gall. He gives us $4.99. Says, despite being down a couple good starters and losing another 2 or 3, it just shows you that effort is all that matters. When you give an F, you get a W.
Honestly, yeah.
When you
the effort was so much better this week than last week. Yeah.
Which drives me crazy. Like, you guys are professionals, and do you hear DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers after the game? Man, we had a great week of practice. Everyone was all bought in. It's like, well, what the hell's been going on? Like, how is this happening? So I don't know. Any thoughts on that, guys?
They played hard.
Yeah, there you go, Brian.
No, they played, there was definite passion.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Tyler W. He gives us $4.99. Says, learn something about the team today. They put their bodies on the line rather than lose. They're not collectively talented, but they do care. Let's go Steelers. Fair enough. I think it's a good point.
It's a good point.
All right, Tom Muir, or Tom Plays Games, gives us $7. $1 per W. Sorry, I'm late. A lot of ugly holes, but an ugly win is better than a well-played loss. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate that tip. Justin Gall gives us $9.99. Says, if you're going to be a Debbie Downer after a win, why bother? Use your time to make money, memories, or whatever. Despite conservative coaching at the end, we left it on the field today, guys. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anyone, at least on the screen, is being a Debbie Downer, maybe in the comment section. But yeah, I mean, it's a situation where this was a huge win. This was a huge win. Well, and regardless of what happens down the stretch, they always have this win.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's not like you could feel like everything's great now. We're not going that far. But you either needed to get busy winning or get busy losing.
Yeah.
Going against Baltimore and Baltimore. You know what? If you have, this is one, I mean, the Steelers had to have this one, and they were up against it, and they won it. So trust me, I am not complaining, but I'm also saying, they made strides in certain areas, but then there's other areas that they need to improve as well.
Brian, any thoughts?
Dave, if you do that again, please do the Morgan Freeman voice.
Get busy living, get busy dying.
There you go. No, I mean, you've got to put it out there, and I agree with Jeff saying about, my gosh, not having passion. You're professionals. You should be into this. I think anytime you've got a rivalry game like this, it ups the ante. But now with Aaron Rodgers said it after the game in the interview, he basically said, look, we've had a really hard week. And he mentioned the fact that he knows the fans aren't happy in a roundabout way. And we've taken a lot of criticism. It's deserved, but thank goodness you responded to the criticism and don't just say, hey, I make $20 million a year. Screw you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Heath. He gives us $5. He said, El Jefe, when I don't watch the game, we play better. Should I stop watching? That's your decision, man. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I am not a superstitious person. My kids, even though I tell them all the time, what shirt you wear, where you sit, it doesn't matter. They are like buying. I'm like, stop doing it. You do what you want, Jefe. Or he tells me El Jefe.
Hey, I understand though that you want to feel like you're doing your part,
right?
As a fan, I get. Sometimes I remind myself, like even my son will be like, "Oh, if they start doing bad, I'm going to leave." I'm like, "No, them doing bad or good has nothing to do with you watching this game or not." But I will tell you, I switched up my pants for this game just to do it.
And then he finishes up his comment saying, also Harbaugh licks stamps for the taste. And we're getting another, we're gonna have another Wang Harbs comment here. He says, give me Thunder gives $5 and says Harbaugh keeps his streak alive. The man has never lost a game. He's only been screwed out of wins by the refs. Just ask him.
Hey, to jump on top of what Dave said, in 2002, I once burnt a pair of $50 pants that I bought at the stadium because it was a 6-game non-losing streak. So I did it. So I get it.
I know it's not a super chat, but we have to. John S said, "Didn't Bad go shirtless for a few games last year?"
Well, you did the shower at halftime thing, didn't you, Brian?
Yeah, I did the shower at halftime. No one was home. I watched the game naked. Hey, whatever works. They won, but then people started coming back over again, and I couldn't do that.
I'm sorry.
Gosh. All right.
Too much fun.
Okay. Yes. So let's get started into all right, let's get started on the box score. This is a fun one to break down. A very interesting game in terms of the ebbs and flows. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Aaron Rodgers goes 23 of 34 for 284 yards, an 8.4 yard average, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, was not sacked, 103.1 rating. Guys, and also he rushed for a touchdown as well. So I want to add that in there. What did you guys?
And you also forget he had a reception.
That's right.
For -9 yards.
What did you guys think of Aaron Rodgers? Dave, I'll let you go first.
Loved what he was doing, particularly in the first half. I don't think it was Rodgers. It did get a little bit conservative the last 2 drives, obviously. But that's kind of, they give us. It's funny, we complain that the Steelers give us a cardiac issue with that, but at the same time, they still end up winning those games. So it's like, did they really do the wrong thing, even if we didn't like it? Anyway, back to Aaron Rodgers. I thought he played a very nice game. I felt it was, as Coach Tomlin said, actually Jerry Dulac was the one who asked Coach Tomlin, I'm pretty sure, in the postgame press conference, said, do you feel like Aaron was in control the whole game? And Tomlin just kind of pondered for a second. It's like, yeah, I did. And I think that's a good way to put it. It felt like he was in control throughout the game. He didn't seem nervous to me when he was sliding around and escaping and everything. He did not have that nervousness that sometimes we see come out with him. And he was aggressive down the field. Some people don't like when he kind of yells and stuff after plays, but he's passionate about stuff. I thought it was one of his better games.
We even got a discount double check when
he
scored the rushing touchdown.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, we haven't seen that in a while. I did think that he manipulated the pocket extremely well. Yeah. He definitely was going through his reads, but he trusted the protection. I don't know. Well, what did you think, bro?
Well, we might be talking about this in another category, but what a difference having more weapons at wide receiver to go ahead and be able to do what you want to do from the beginning with DK Metcalf. So I thought that really helped. I thought he had a very nice game. I thought he was very passionate today. I love that. I thought he was inspired, and we talked about that maybe about 5 minutes ago with the whole team. That's what we've wanted to see, and this is whether it's false hope or not. This is what got us excited from the beginning with Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to take performances like this every single time for the rest of the season if he's going to play with passion, and you're going to have a chance to win when you have this lineup on the field.
We're going to transition here because my comments on Rodgers are going to bleed into more of the offensive play calling, the offensive philosophy. If we could get quarters 1, 2, and 3 Aaron Rodgers in that offense for 4 quarters, this offense is going to put up points on a lot of teams. I'm not saying every team, and I'm not saying they're going to be able to get on a run and go into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. So please don't take it the wrong way. But I do want to ask you guys what your thought was about the fourth quarter. They had 3 drives, 9 plays, and 0 points. They just completely shut it down. Now, I know there's certain situations where you're trying to burn timeouts and all that stuff. What did you guys think of the offense in terms of the coaching, the play calling, the preparation? Dave, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had 3 net yards.
Yeah,
in the fourth quarter. I mean, that was just me looking at the drives. Let me actually see if that was, well, no, technically they had 8 net yards. Yeah, it got too conservative in the fourth, but you also got to look at stuff. Didn't their next to last, or when I say next to last drive, their first drive of the fourth quarter, it started off with it had a penalty. Oh no, that was the one where they had Gainwell and they had the nice screen pass out to there with 3 blockers on 3 guys, where not only was he going to get the first down, who knows what he would have done, but it got blown dead because of the delay of game.
Yes. It was a perfect play call. That was a perfect play call.
Yes, it was. It was the perfect play call to put in right there. And as soon as I went to 3rd and 11, I said to my wife, I said, they're not going to get this. She's like, well, I said, they're not even going to throw far enough. And they checked it down to Freiermuth and everything. But if they get that first down on that drive, I think they put points on the board in that drive. But once they didn't, the last 2 drives were just, kind of
crap.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like the goal was not even to move the ball. It was just like take care of it. I mean, obviously the one was the Aaron Rodgers pass thing, and when that one was 3rd and 19, I said to my wife, they're not going to get. She's like, you need to have some confidence they're going to get it. I'm like, they're not going to even try. They're just going to try to get what they can and punt the ball away. And that's a little bit frustrating. But those were some circumstances. I mean, look, the penalty of the one, and I don't know if you guys saw it. I can't remember. It might have been Nick Faribault said on X that the play that the ball got batted and Rodgers pulls it in. That was just crazy. That if only the reason he threw it towards where a defender could hit it, because he had Metcalf open. That was going to be a big play for the Steelers. So a couple times they had potential big plays that they just didn't come through with. And you don't want to see that in the fourth quarter of a game. So you're exactly right, Jeff, about getting the 3 quarters of it. You've got to make the plays to minimize the negativity. I thought it was big when the Steelers got the holding penalty on Pete, which honestly, it looked bad, but wasn't, I mean, that because the guy went to the ground and he was on him. But there's been a lot worse that's happened to TJ Watt. And honestly, I think Alex Highsmith was held worse on that 50-some yard run than what that was. But still, it's not like it was crazy that they called it. I was just surprised they called that and not other things. But even after that hold, they ended up getting a first down after that. They didn't let those type of negativities get to them. So that's the thing, that in the fourth quarter, you get some negativity, and it seems like they're a little bit more conservative where they can't overcome it.
Brian, what was your thought on the game plan and offensive play calling?
If we're talking about quarters 1 through 3, like Dave said, yeah, I loved it. When we're looking at the fourth, I think they went into a prevent offense definitely when they got lucky on that Rodgers ball. And that's absolutely what happened. They got lucky. It was the right call, but I will say that they were going to pass down the field. Then after that happened, it's like the Steelers must be thinking that let's escape now. And that's really what they tried to do. And they felt that they were pulling the Ravens out of being a running team and making them pass and say, let's have this guy beat us with his arm. And, I saw in the comments, somebody mentioned, you didn't make him punt the entire time, but they're also in position where they're going for it. And the Steelers did make some stops. So even if it's just one stop, it was a big stop. So, kudos. They learned from this, and it's not going to be perfect. There's still warts, but you put some Campo Finique on it, and it's it's not as ugly as it was last week.
All right, let's continue. Let's talk about the pass protection. The Pittsburgh Steelers did not surrender a sack, only one quarterback hit, and they had some shuffling on the offensive line. Dave, what was your thoughts? But let's also, if we're talking about the offensive line, let's not just talk pass protection. The Steelers did not run the ball well as a team. 17 carries, 34 yards, a 2.0 yard average. They did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but a long run of 6 yards. We'll dive into those numbers more specifically. But Dave, offensive line, what'd you think?
I thought their pass protection was great. I thought they did a nice job. Even when Dylan Cook was out there, they helped him by chipping at the beginning when he was out there, and then they didn't necessarily have to do that the rest of the time. It was kind of to give them some confidence right off the bat. But I thought overall they did a nice job. Did the Ravens? Did they even have? They had one quarterback hit.
Yeah,
one.
That's it.
That's some pretty good pass protection. Now, the run game as a whole did not really get going. I don't know that the blocking was very good. It's like I said, it's really hard to see the blocking from the TV view. I didn't really like the scheme of the run game. I still can't stand whether it's the toss or what they do when the running back's getting the ball so far behind the line of scrimmage where he has to run forever just to have no gain. It bugged me last week. It still bothered me this week. But the one thing I will say that I did appreciate about the Steelers offense, I know this isn't necessarily about the line, is that they didn't insist on constantly running the ball where they weren't doing it well. They were willing to at least then throw it. But I thought the pass protection was really good for the Steelers today.
Yeah, I thought so too. Again, not getting the running game going did bother me, but ultimately they made enough plays to win. Let's talk about those running backs. I mentioned only 34 yards as a team. Kenneth Gainwell led the team with 4 carries, 15 yards, an average of 3.8. He had a rushing touchdown in that long run of 6 yards. Jaylen Warren, 8 for 13. Caleb Johnson, 2 for 4. Connor Hayward, 1 for 2 because he did tush push. Aaron Rodgers, 2 carries, 1 touchdown. What did you guys think about the running backs in this game? Dave, we'll start with you.
Yeah, because think about that. One of those carries was the kneel down at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
It just kind of like I was saying, between the blocking, between the running, between the scheme, it just wasn't all working very well what they were doing today. But it'll be interesting when we see the snap counts. I think Gainwell very much outsnapped Jaylen Warren today because they were really focusing on what they were doing right in the passing game. They didn't have a very good running attack, but they didn't have to lean on it. So when it came to the running backs, it was just kind of.
Okay. Brian, thoughts on the running backs?
When Darnell Washington starts seeing birds and stars, and we're not talking about anybody on Baltimore, we're talking about the cartoony type, that means that this whole thing changed. Andres Pete made it worse when he went out as well. But the offensive line pulled together, like Dave said, and I just kind of feel that I think there's a flaw in the scheme, but I felt like the running attack was decent enough in the first half to keep the Baltimore Ravens honest. In the second half, it seemed like all bets were off because guys were dropping like flies and they were piecemealing. So at this point, I was fine with them. Not going to put anybody on the winners list, but I tell you what, anytime I see Gainwell on that field, number 14, I get excited now.
Yeah.
And with that being said, the nameplate is coming off the Pickens jersey, baby.
You need to start buying nameplates.
Yeah.
If I can. No, it was not. It was 22.
Oh, okay. One thing that I want to add, and now I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, yes. It was a question of the post-game press conference. And then this is a really good thing to remember, to think about. The Steelers' ability to hit some bigger pass plays in this game is that even going to potentially open up the run in future weeks? Because think about it. The Steelers hadn't thrown the ball down the field in several games. They hadn't completed one. So the fact that they did that now other teams have to say, like, okay, now we got to be ready for this. That could help in weeks to come. But Baltimore did defend the run well, pretty well today.
Absolutely. They did. All right, let's talk about the pass catchers. We kind of alluded to them a little bit earlier with the wide variety of people that might have been catching passes, and they did have a lot. DK Metcalf with a huge day, 7 catches, 148 yards, 21.1 yard average, no touchdowns, but a long of 52. I believe that was the first play from scrimmage for the Steelers.
Yes, it was.
12 targets. Jalen Warren, 3 catches for 49 yards, 16.3 average. He had a receiving touchdown, 38-yard long, 3 targets. Calvin Austin, only 1 catch, but it was a huge 31-yard catch, a conversion on third down to move the Steelers. Kenneth Gainwell, 6 catches on 7 targets for 27 yards. Ben Skoranek, 1 for 13. Darnell Washington, 1 for 12. That was the play where he got hurt. Pat Freiermuth, 3 targets, 2 catches for 9 yards. Adam Thielen, 1 catch for 4 yards, and Aaron Rodgers, 1 catch for -9 yards. Total of 284 yards. Guys, what do you think about the pass catchers? Dave, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I just think it's funny if he doesn't catch that ball. But if he doesn't catch the ball, it ends up being a turnover. I thought the pass catchers did a nice job. I felt, Rodgers had the one throw to Jonnu Smith and then the one to MVS at the end of the game that wasn't, that those were a little off. The where they had to settle for a field goal rather than a touchdown, that wasn't a bad throw by Rodgers. That ball was tipped. He had Gainwell for the touchdown if the Ravens guy doesn't get his hand on it. I thought the pass catchers, I can't think of any drops at all this time. I felt like they were pulling in whatever Rodgers was throwing, and I think it kind of gave him the confidence that he could go anywhere. And maybe that's the kind of the shakeup that the Steelers need, even though, between Thielen and MVS, it was only 1 catch for 4 yards on 2 targets.
Yeah. Brian, thoughts on the pass catchers?
I thought fantastic. I really, Dave's right. I didn't see any drops either. And that's one thing. I felt like they were getting open, and also Aaron Rodgers, there weren't coverage sacks. There weren't situations like that where guys weren't getting open. So I really liked it. I want to go ahead and quote one of my favorite movies. It's a football movie. It's Necessary Roughness. And Scott Bakula's had to write a paper. He was like the 34-year-old freshman, and he had to write a paper. And he said that even though the score was 56-0 or something like that, they won because Ed Gennaro was on the field coaching. Now, so I bring that up because I think the Steelers got so much better at the wide receiver position just from having Adam Thielen, number 16, number 11, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS. With both of those guys being on the field, the Steelers upgraded and they had 1 catch combined. Yeah. But just their presence meant a whole heck of a lot. And if anybody's complaining about Roman Wilson, and somebody in the live chat mentioned shaking my head about why Thielen over Roman, here's the bottom line. No one was respecting. It wasn't working. I mean, we thought Roman was doing well and getting open, but nobody was respecting it. Mike Tomlin said, all right, we're going to change it up. And he changed it up. What do you want?
No, that's a good point, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to go on with what Brian said there. I think the biggest difference is those receivers were where Aaron Rodgers expected them to be.
Sure.
And that makes a big difference, even whether you're open or you're not open, being where you're supposed to be and where you're expected to be.
Do you want to bring this up? UFK Steel said Calvin Austin had a drop. He is right. He did have a drop. That was the 3rd down conversion, which looked like they gave it to him initially.
Oh, that's right.
Rodgers wanted to run to the line, and he wanted to get a playoff because he saw that he bobbled it, and they wanted to substitute, and he was fuming. Rightfully so. He had every right to be pissed off about that. All right, so that wraps up the offense. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, if you're watching live, we're not going anywhere. On the audio side, we're going to talk defense and everything else about this game right after this break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Thank you all for being patient. It is time to talk about the defense. Before we do that, let's go to Todd Williams. He gives us $4.99. Said, do you know of any other team in the league that plays a single high safety so far off the ball? Also, appreciate you guys very much. Thank you, Todd, for the tip and the kind words. I guess that at high safety is Jalen Ramsey at this stage. And there's times where he's so, I said today, I was like, man, where's Jalen Ramsey? We haven't heard his name. Yeah, he showed up a little bit, but we have since Cincinnati and the whole spitting incident, he was very active that game. I haven't seen too much. So I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say Bryan Davis needs to take a mental screenshot of that comment, because that would be a really good one to ask Coach KT Smith. I really do. That would be a good one to hear on the Here We Go, the Steelers show. I would really like to know what he thinks about that with the single high safety. To me, with Jalen Ramsey, I feel like, I don't know if it's just the defensive scheme at this point when everything with Terrell Austin. And yeah, it is, because trust me, when I finish saying what I'm saying, they're like, oh, well, it's Tomlin's defense. I'm saying Terrell Austin because I feel like Ramsey is falling into the Minkah Fitzpatrick category of his last several years here, where he's utilized isn't going to make as much of an impact when you're seeing how plays play out, but he is actually impacting where they're going to go with the ball.
Yeah. Brian, anything to add?
No, he had a really nice pass breakup and a play as well. And then Joey Porter had that 12 yards down the field hold. Jeez. That was, like, he just didn't let the guy go. I think he's making an impact a lot like Minkah made an impact without putting up the stats. But I think Jalen Ramsey is a stalwart on that defense, and so I'm not worried about him.
All right, let's go to Thomas JP 1985 said Rodgers was the worst receiver today.
Statistically, but if he doesn't catch that ball, that's turnover.
A guy that's hit, for his experience, I was shocked he just hit it straight to the ground. Spike that sucker into the ground. But anyways, Steeler fan 69 gives us $5. Says, ask Dad, why should you never change your GPS voice to Bono from YouTube? The streets have no name and you'll never find what you're looking for. There you go, Brian. That was
love it. Steeler fan 69. I can't live with or without you.
All right, let's go to the defense. Let's talk about the run defense first. Lamar Jackson, he did have a decent running day, 7 carries for 43 yards, a 6.1 average, and he did have a rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry had 25 carries for 94 yards. So they kept him off 100, a 3.8-yard average. The big play was the 55-yard run by Keaton Mitchell. He ended with 6 carries for 76 yards before he left with a knee injury.
From that play, wasn't it?
I think
From
so.
Rasheen
Ali and Zay Flowers had 1 carry for 2 yards. They totaled 217 yards as a team, 40 carries, a 5.4 average. They did have a touchdown, like I mentioned, Lamar Jackson, and a long of 55. What did you guys think about the run defense, Dave? I'll start with you.
Yeah, the run defense, that's 2 games in a row over 200. So you don't want to see that kind of thing. But and early on, I felt it was doing a real nice job against Derrick Henry. I really do. He busted out a couple, but that's still, for him to have 25 carries and be under 100 yards is a pretty big deal. I will say this. I messed up with the stat that I gave before about what the Steelers do whenever Derek Harmon's not in the game, because I missed that he missed week 2 as well. I only had him out week 1. But if you're looking at it now, after missing 4 games with no Derek Harmon, the Steelers are giving up an average of 192 yards rushing when Derek Harmon is not in the game. And in case you're wondering, and all the games that he's played, it's obviously much less because they haven't had a game over 142 rushing yards that they've surrendered when he's played. So I'm pretty sure the average is under 100. It's almost 100 yards difference between the two now when you add this one in there. I'm not saying he's going to be a magic fix when he comes back, but it is one of those things that helped today. It's one of those things that it was more of a man. I'm sorry. That's how many receptions? 40 carries. 40 carries. That's part of what that was. It's not like they were getting you that crazy. But once again, teams are going to say we're going to keep running on the Steelers until they can stop it. And the last couple weeks they haven't been able to.
Brian, we have a super chat for you real quick. $2 from Steeler fan 69. He said, "Ask Bad, what is the Ravens record now?"
They have one more win than 5 and one less than 8.
All right, Brian, go ahead and talk about what you thought of the Pittsburgh Steelers run defense.
It wasn't good, but it didn't kill them. So there you go. They had to give up something, especially to this Ravens team, when you have Lamar is going to kill you. And and I was getting worried because, glazing them up like crazy was Tony Romo and said, "Oh, he's going to get going. He's going to get going, Jim." And so I hear all that and I'm thinking, oh no, is he going to get going? But he can kill you when he's hurt and when he's hobbled. And so I think when you play the Ravens, you're going to give up some rushing yards. The fact that they weren't giving up the passing yards is a big deal to me. So, I mean, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, it was weird. The total is the total over 200 yards, and that's bad. But I never felt like outside of the 155-yard run, which happens. You can't say, well, without that, they would have had blah, blah, blah. The Steelers did a decent job bottling it up, and kudos to the Ravens because as TJ Watt was just barreling down the line of scrimmage at Derrick Henry, they had Lamar start to read it, and he was keeping it, and it was a good second half mix there for them, but still. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the pass rush and the pass defense. Lamar Jackson as a quarterback throws 35 times for 19 completions, averages 6.3 yards per attempt, 219 total yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 2 sacks, and a rating of 71.0. Dave, what do you think about the pass defense in that respect?
I felt that it was significantly better than the run defense. And honestly, so how many passing yards did they have?
217. That was not the net. That take sack yardage off 203.
Yeah,
219 total. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 219.
Yeah.
And 155 of that was in the second half. In the first half, they had 64 passing yards. So the Steelers defense stopping the pass, I think, did a really nice job, especially in the first half. I think some things, there was the one long play, actually towards the beginning of each half, just like the Steelers had one, the Ravens had one in each half as well. That, you'd like to get those kind of things back. But I wonder if the passing game, well, first of all, they attempted 13 passes in the first half. They attempted 22 in the second half was part of it. But also the fact that maybe the Steelers were trying to commit a little bit more to the run, perhaps. I don't know if they were or not. But I felt overall the pass defense was pretty good. It's funny because Brian said that thing about the Joey Porter Jr. thing with, still engaged with the guy 15 yards downfield. That receiver was basically just running right straight into him and trying to get a call. That receiver did everything to initiate that contact. So Joey Porter Jr. needs to just be maybe learn some tricks in order to make sure you don't get called for something like that when it's really the offensive guy that's doing it. I don't have any answers. Maybe KT Smith can answer that one as well.
Brian, what was your thought on the pass defense?
My gosh, Dave wants me to do all this homework and remember all this stuff for KT tomorrow.
Take notes, Brian.
Good Lord, Dave. Now, I thought the pass defense was good. I thought it could have been better, but I really remember you don't have Deshaun Elliott in this game. You don't have, there's other things you don't have. Please don't take me wrong. And a lot of people took me wrong as I'm not complaining about Joey Porter. In fact, kudos to Joey Porter. He didn't get hurt and limp off the field. I would have lost that over under. So, because it happens every game. But all I'm going to say is I thought Porter had a nice game. I thought they all did what they had to do. It was pretty tough. On the touchdown with Patrick Queen, he made a decision. It wasn't a business decision. He made a strategy move and it failed. It didn't work. But as far as everything else goes, I thought they bottled them up fairly well. Andrews should be ripping you apart down the middle. Likely, who is your second guy who's very dangerous. And in fact, by signing that contract, they might have signed Likely's ticket out of there. And I don't think that's the best thing for him. But that's a purple problem. All I'm going to say here is you've got a defense that bottled up Lamar, and he can uncork one. I mean, he uncorks it all the time. He's got a better arm than anybody gives him credit for. I will say that, but I thought Joey Porter had a nice game. I thought the defenders did a pretty good job. They did not get killed by anything on defense. They bent. They did not break.
And you got to hope that maybe the Steelers secondary will get a player like Kyle Duggar back next week. Maybe he missed this game with a hand injury. We're not sure what the significance or the severity of that is. We'll find out more on Tuesday. But I want to give a shout out, since we're talking about it, to James Pierre. 2 big plays, obviously the interception, but that big run, the 55-yard run, to track down the ball carrier and to stop him from scoring. It was a very Peyton Wilson-esque rundown. Those are the hustle plays. And I'll say this, Jimmy Pierre, as we call him on this show, he's done nothing but impress this season. There's a time where if you saw James Pierre playing defense and not just being a gunner on special teams, you cringed and you thought, good Lord, here we go. They're just going to target 42 every single time he's out there. He is really turning some heads. Dave, did you want to talk about Jimmy P at all?
I thought he, did some nice stuff. I thought, especially in the first half, early on, before the potential concussion, that Brandon Eccles was really making a big difference too. But so I'm extremely happy with James Pierre. Maybe he can just do better with the different pieces that are around. I don't know what it is, but did Asante Samuel Jr. even? Did we even see him out there? Much at all?
Now that you say that, I don't even remember him being out there.
I don't either. I mean, he didn't have any stats.
The hell are we doing? You signed the guy to the 53 and you don't play him.
No, well, probably remember, this is also a team that they were trying to, you're obviously more worried about the run. They're probably more in base defense than they are some package against this team more than anybody else.
I don't know. Brian, do you want to talk about Jimmy at all?
Yeah, I do. A couple things. I thought Asante Samuel was the guy who had the interception. All I can see is the 2, and they were just like gathering around him. I could not see whether that was another 2 or a 4, so I didn't know who did it. As long as Jimmy Pierre is not, going and trying to catch passes like he did last year in Washington, I'm fine with that. But as far as everything else goes, how sweet is it going to be when you pick off your MVP cousin?
Yeah.
Because that's his cousin.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Jimmy's not young anymore. He's like, I think he came to the Steelers in 2020. So he's been around a long time. And just for the fact that he can still turn on the Jets like that, kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's continue on. Let's talk about the pass rush. The Steelers sacked Lamar Jackson twice, but they were all around this guy on more than one occasion, and he, being as elusive as he is, escaped 5 quarterback hits. No sack was timelier, though, than Alex Highsmith in the 4th quarter. Game on the line, 4th down. They get the sack. Actually, I don't think it was 4th down, but they didn't have any timeouts left. It was 9 seconds left, killed the game. He and Brandon Eccles are the only 2 players with the sack. What did you think about the pass rush, Dave?
I thought it would be, I expected more from it today, honestly. It's not that it was terrible. I think the philosophy was, it was more important to maintain rush lane integrity than it was to get home. It kind of felt like throughout the game that they didn't, you didn't want to create those natural holes for Lamar Jackson to take off if you didn't have somebody that was going to be spying him and anything like that. It's not that it was terrible, but I wouldn't call it a great Steelers pass rush. I didn't even notice Nick Herbig today. Was he?
He played
I mean, I know he played, but I'm just saying he didn't really stand out, even rushing the passer. I was wondering if he just wasn't out there in a lot of pass rush situations. But then again, the Steelers, it wasn't like there was a ton of third and longs that it was obvious they were going to pass. I mean, my goodness, the one time on third down, the Ravens came up and ran it really quick without subbing because they wanted to keep the Steelers' run defense on the field rather than them switch out into different passing stuff. So I don't know that there wasn't until that last drive, there wasn't a lot of obvious pass rushing situations. And my goodness, they got the sack obviously to end it because that's what killed the clock, or else, there might have been another play. But they were all around him and right there so many times. And there was just a couple times where Lamar just got he's getting taken to the ground by TJ Watt and he gets the ball off. So at least they were putting pressure on him.
Yeah. Brian, thoughts on the pass rush?
If this is a different quarterback, I think the Steelers have 4 or 5 sacks in this game. There was one, and I think it was TJ. I'm not sure who had him, but he could have been called in the grass. But I think there was 2 from TJ that I thought he could have actually been called, and they let him get it out. But no, fine performance, because you see what happens when you play Josh Allen. It's the same thing that could happen. I mean, it stinks to have them 2 weeks in a row, like back to back, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they got a taste of Lamar Jackson because of Josh Allen. You can't rely on just shutting him down when you have good coverage, because he'll take off and kill you. And even though he's hurt, he had the ability to take off and kill the Steelers today. So great job.
All right, let's get a super chat here. Justin Gall gives us $9.99. Says the Porter defensive pass interference do not bother me one bit. One penalty was for 3 yards versus how many yards after the catch. Stay sticky. And Mike Tomlin has said in the past that he is fine with those defensive pass interference calls. He wants him to be physical. I think that was when he was citing his coverage of T. Higgins when he called him a goon. And you got to match a goon with physicality, but I could be wrong. So, all right, this has been a good show, good win, Steelers. Man, whether it lasts or not, we have at least this week where the Steelers beat the Ravens. Ravens week. You beat the Ravens, at least for the 3 of us here on the screen that live in the state of Maryland. It's always sweet. You get to wear your Steelers gear around and just say, you all suck. All right, so let's do some final thoughts. Dave, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, and I mean, Jeff, you got to remember, they won. They beat the Ravens. They beat them in Baltimore. They beat them coming off their mini bye. So they were at least able to do that. Like I said, I didn't think the Ravens had been playing all that great. And I mean, they ran the ball well, but was that more about the Ravens running it well or the Steelers not defending it well? Combination of both. I'm probably going with that. I want to give a shout out to Big Bro. He did the knee-jerk reaction article in a Buffalo Wild Wings close to the Pittsburgh airport because they're up there. Him and his wife, and along with Kyle, they're going to a concert tonight. It's the Wood Brothers. What is it, like McKee's Rocks or something like that? Is where they have various concerts. They're happy that they can wear their Steelers jerseys. He's like, we will keep our Steelers jerseys on if the Steelers win, and that way we can go there. And hey, and this was important. The win. You really nothing mattered if the Steelers didn't get the win. If the Steelers don't win this game, the 219 rushing yards that they gave up is tragic, worst thing ever. Can't believe this defense thinks that they can play defense. If the Ravens throw a passing touchdown as time expires and those yards don't change. But then with the win, you're like, well, it was enough to get the job done. Winning does cure a lot of things. I don't think that the Steelers are going to be complacent with this win. That's the key. Don't be complacent. You still have things that you need to continue to work on. And bottom line is, when you're in December, you need to be a team that's rising. So continue to rise, build off of this, and let's have some fun next Monday night when Aaron Rodgers should be in bed, but instead has to start a game at quarterback.
All right, Brian, final thoughts?
Next week's the micro bye. So you've got one game to sit home and watch the Ravens take on the Bengals. And that's another loss unless there's a tie. but that is another loss for one of those teams. That's probably going to knock one of those teams completely out of the playoff race, out of the division race. I think it's going to, a tie would screw some things up. And so let's hope that there is not a tie in this game. But when I look at all of this and what the Steelers have accomplished this week in the face of major adversity, they brought back the fans that were on the brink. Now, there were some fans going into this game. One of my closest friends, I adore him a lot, but he was like, yeah, I'm kind of torn because he wants Tomlin gone so bad. He wants them to lose games just to reset next year. You know, and that's, you fan the way you want to fan. I'm not going to tell you that that's wrong, but I can't do that. I feel better. There's a spring in my step every time the Steelers win a game. I feel good. I don't know if you know this, but I've got 2 dachshunds and another dog that every time the Steelers score and I yell touchdown Steelers, they come running because they get cheese. And when they win, they got cheese. So there's some fat dachshunds today. Yeah. And that's good. So let's fatten those little wieners up and keep it going. Going in, they're playing Miami next week, Monday Night Football. They're honoring Hall of Honor guys. Ben's going to be in the house. That team's going to be fired up even more, and the fans are going to be fired up. And let's give them a reason to bring back Renegade.
Miami playing well enough that they came over the Dolphins. They're playing good football.
Ashani's hurt.
Huh?
Ashani got hurt today.
Who?
A-Chain?
A-Chain? I call him Ashani.
Yeah. Actually, he could have come back in the game, but they held him out because they were up by a bunch against the Jets. So he could have come back.
What did you want to say, Dave?
What I wanted to say is, yes, Miami's playing hot. We didn't even talk about, we didn't talk about the touchdown that wasn't. We didn't talk about some of the stuff, but we didn't talk about how the Steelers spoiled the Ravens anniversary, 25-year anniversary of the Super Bowl. I meant to do it in my closing thoughts, and then I forgot that they ruined that, and everyone else in the AFC North lost. That's kind of what makes it a really nice week.
I think Ray Lewis's record is not that good when he comes out of the tunnel and does that stupid dance.
Yeah.
And he shoved a shield into the field or something. I'm like, I can't stand Ray Lewis. I can respect him, but I despise the man. We'll put it that way. I don't want to forget the super chat. Wilson Pava gives us $9.99 and says, late to the show, but I almost died watching that game. Feels like the decent sequel to the Christmas games a few years ago with the goal line reach. I don't know how I feel about Austin more than anything. Big W. He's talking about the Immaculate Extension game with Antonio Brown at the last second. I don't know. That was a great game. But still, we win. The Steelers win. We all are feeling great. It's a Victory Monday week. Make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Make sure you check out my Let's Ride podcast tomorrow, Monday. I'll give you all the details to get some free swag still in time for the holidays. So if you want to gift it, you want to get something for yourself, you can. All you got to do is follow the directions. Find us on Twitter at SteelC Network, and also check out my podcast tomorrow for more details. But other than that, guys, great show. Steelers win 27-22, 7-6 atop the AFC North. We'll be back next week late on a Monday night. All right, that's it. We'll be back. Take it easy. Check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. See you guys.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.